Hi, I am Sarah, and welcome to yoga. It'll be a mindful vinyasa flow. I'll step into the practice and finish up with a visualization and some Christ centered insights at the end. Enjoy! Just find your space with your back on the mat. Today's practice in class is all about lift. You can have those knees bent, or you can have the legs fully extended, palms up towards the sky. And just find that initial place of stillness. Starting to discover the breath, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And just noticing that inhale as it comes in and the exhale as it travels out. For these first few breaths, just become aware of it. What's it feeling like today, this morning, the day after Earth Day? And just take a small inventory of the body. Notice any areas that feel tight or tense, or that might want special notice or attention today. And just visually travel the mind there and soften those tight spaces. Find those tight places and just allow them to soften. Taking the right hand on the belly and the left hand on the heart, we'll begin breathing with intention. Our three-part breath. We inhale through the nose, beginning with the belly. So we feel the belly rise and press into the palm. We continue to inhale through the ribs and chest. And then we exhale from the chest, the ribs, and back into the belly, the last thing to draw towards the spine. Again, inhaling from the belly, the ribs, and the chest. And then exhaling from the chest, the ribs, and the belly. And with this three-part breath today, just noticing the lift that occurs. Beginning with the belly, that lift or that rise, traveling through the ribs, and then noticing the heart space, lifting and rising with that breath. Exhaling and releasing. Beautiful. And the word lift, it also means to rise, but it also can mean to release. So the beautiful thing about a lift in our intention is that even in the exhale, we can still feel that lift, that lightness. So we continue to inhale and exhale that three-part breath. Beautiful. Inhaling from the belly, the ribs, and the chest. And then exhaling from the chest, the ribs, back into the belly. Beautiful. Take those hands on either side and pull those legs in to give yourself a hug, drawing those knees in towards the chest and gently releasing anything that's tight to the lower back. Softly placing those feet to the ground, knees to the sky, and letting the knees fold together. And then real gentle, taking some windshield wipers so those knees fall to the right, and then they come back up. The knees fall to the left, and then they come back up. So we're letting ourselves move and awaken in a gentle way to begin. We're just opening through those places and spaces throughout the body. Drawing those knees back up towards the sky. Balancing off with that left side. And then toe healing those feet right to the edges of our glutes. Inhaling and pressing the palms in towards the earth. Continuing with that inhale and curling and tucking the tailbone towards the sky in a moving bridge. And then exhaling and releasing the spine back down. Inhaling, allowing that bridge to curl and tuck through the tailbone and lift upwards. And then exhaling one vertebrae at a time, releasing back down, feeling that rounding sensation. Each vertebra getting its own turn and its own place on that mat. Beautiful. And as we lower the hips, raising the arms and reaching them overhead. Beautiful. And then exhaling as those hips lift, those hands draw themselves down towards the sides of the body. Lower the hips, the arms lift and reach themselves overhead. And then exhaling and releasing those hands, lifting those hips up towards the sky. Beautiful. And everything coming right back down together. Knees pulling into the chest, giving yourself a hug, grabbing underneath those hamstrings. Beautiful. From here, extending one leg in a real gentle bicycle, and then switching and extending to the other side. So we can flex the feet, we can point the toes, just kind of move those feet around a bit as we're alternating from one leg to the next. Maybe separate those toes. Maybe even draw some little circles to the ankles. Just let those feet awaken. Inhaling and exhaling, notice the physical lifting of the body as it changes from one position to the next. Beautiful. And then just extend those legs for just a few breaths. Gentle scissor. We can keep this nice and small, moving just a couple inches. Larger dynamic will just give different sensations in the body. Beautiful. And then pull those knees back in towards the chest. Extend the legs long, palms to the sky. Close the eyes if they aren't already closed. And with the stillness, set your intention for practice today. Maybe it's connecting with the lift, the release, the looking up, the rising. And maybe it's something completely different that speaks to you here and now today. But find that voice within. The one calling and softening, guiding you to higher places. And then listen for that word, for that phrase. And again, bending those knees, knowing that we can take that word or phrase with us throughout the practice today, shifting over to a side lying position and rotating around so that our mat, where our bodies are facing our mat. Curling the toes under, inhaling nice and long through the breath, and then exhaling, rounding the spine into that cat position. Inhaling, flattening those toes to the earth and releasing to our cow. And then exhaling, rounding the spine, curling the toes under, finding that cat position. Inhaling to the spine. Exhaling, feeling that rise and lift happen even in the exhale. Inhaling and exhaling. Centering up that spine with a flat tabletop position, toes pulled under, and just gaze over your right shoulder and then tuck your right hip towards your shoulder. So it's like the ear, shoulder, and hip are all working towards one another. And then come back to center. Same side again. Exhale, look towards that right side, shoulder, hip, and release back to center. The right leg extends, the left leg extends, and we just hold this space. Working along the horizon. If I were with you, we'd be grabbing those fingertips and legs along that horizon and just feeling a lengthening space and stretch. And with that breath, take the left arm and the right leg away from the body, however that speaks to you. Pull elbow and knee together, and then release back towards the mat. Walking those hands gently forward, shifting ourselves with those hips in front of the knees, feet flat on the earth, and lowering all the way down to the mat. Lifting for a gentle cobra, and just feel that back and spine awaken. Press the palms in, belly and hips lift first. Press into those hands, reach back to child's pose. Beautiful, shifting forward. Exhaling to the earth. Inhaling into the breath. Exhaling, palms press in, belly and hips. Reach us back to child's pose. Beautiful. And then we come to that tabletop position. The right arm extends to the sky. And we thread the needle, tucking it under the left arm, those hips towards the sky. And we just let ourselves come over to that right side. It might be the right arm, and we stop and find our place there. You might be rotating and resting on that right shoulder with the head on the earth. You might be taking those left fingertips forward, possibly extending the left fingertips to the sky, or maybe those left fingertips wrap behind us. Yeah. Breathing into those tight places. Releasing and lifting. And letting go of that resistance. Wherever that left hand is, unwinding it and bringing it directly under the left shoulder. We press into the left hand and find ourselves back where we began in that tabletop position. Curling the toes under, and for just a moment, inhaling, exhaling through that cat. Inhaling through the cow. Exhaling through the cat. Inhaling through the cow. And then centering up to that neutral spine tabletop position with the toes pulled under. This time taking our gaze and shift towards the left side body. So that hip and shoulder and left ear all working towards one another. And then releasing. And then the left side body working towards one another. And releasing. Those hands stepping themselves forward into the, oh wait, before they come forward, almost forgot. Extending the right leg and the left hand. You guys would have been, nope. Extending the left leg and the right hand. There we go. You guys would be lopsided. We didn't switch these out. So just to clarify, it's the opposite side, but it's that right fingertip and left leg extended. Just holding. Releasing those shoulders away from the ears. And then extending the right arm and the left leg outward, away from you, however that speaks to you. You can even bend that leg as we need or want, or you can bend the elbow, a little shoulder lever. Draw elbow and knee together, and then release towards here. And now step those hands forward, shifting into that kneeling plank position, lowering to the earth, gentle cobra coming up. Exhale, pressing in those palms, lifting hips and belly, and releasing back to child's pose. We'll take that one more time. Gentle warming to the spine. Beautiful. Pressing those palms in and releasing back to child's pose. From here, curling the toes under and lifting back into that tabletop position. So this with the toes still under, the knees are coming off to a floating table. And from this floating table, we press back with the hips, the knees stay really bent, and we transition to a tiger dog. Yeah, so super bent knee, just like a downward facing dog, but really bent in that tiger dog. And then the inhale draws us forward to the floating table. Exhale, release back, tiger dog. So we're building feet right here from within. Shifting to that floating table. Exhaling, tiger dog. Inhaling, floating table. Exhaling, tiger dog. And then extend those legs, adjust those arms if needed, and find downward facing dog. First one of the day, pedaling through those heels, kind of checking in with the spine. So a lot of times when we're starting in a downward facing dog, if you can see me, we'll put a little too much pressure into our palms. And so where we want to start with that downward facing dog is widening those fingertips and even just bending those knees. You might be a little tight to begin with, so that we can create length in the spine. Yoga is always about the spine first and then everything else afterwards. So even if our downward facing dog still looks kind of like that tiger dog, that's okay, because we're extending through those arms, taking that wrinkle out of the backs of our wrists, and we're feeling that elongation of the spine. And then, as we're ready, we can extend those legs as they speak to us. Good, so just feel that. I'm gonna come check you. Yes. Beautiful adjustments, you guys. Bringing those big toes together, gazing at the fingertips, soft bend in the knees, and we'll step ourselves forward towards those palms. Inhaling half lift, exhale forward fold, inhale sweep everything up towards the sky, and for just a moment sit into a gentle chair. Good, we're beginning with that sun salutation, inhaling up towards the sky, exhale forward fold. Inhale half lift, exhale plant the hands and step back. We go to the kneeling plank that we've already practiced, or toe plank. Lowering to the earth, already gone to that cobra, or for a different option, we shift up, upward facing dog. Exhale and release through that child's pose into downward dog, or directly coming into downward facing dog. Again, finding that length in the spine, bending the knees if you need to. Big toes together, gaze at the palms. We can choose to step, or as we bend the knees, take a gentle hop towards the front of our mat. Beautiful. Extending those legs long. Now, if you were with me in person, I'd have you listen for those hops. Do they sound like elephants, or do they sound like mice? Right now, I have you guys all on mute, so you all sound like mice. Inhaling half lift, exhale forward fold. Inhaling, coming all the way up. And today, we'll sit back in that chair. Sweeping everything up towards the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step back. Knees or toes, lower to the earth. Full breath. If we're going into upward facing dog, we really only lower halfway and then shift forward and come up. Beautiful. Release back. Downward facing dog. Big toes together. Release those shoulders away from the ears. Soft bend in the knees. Gaze at the fingertips. Step or hop towards those palms. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bring everything up. Exhale, release. Beautiful. Inhaling everything up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands. Stepping back, kneeling or toe plank. You lower and lift to cobra or upward facing dog. And then stay in downward facing dog. Releasing those shoulders away from the ears. Right leg reaches up towards the sky, keeping those hips square. Shoulders are square, equal pressure through both hands. Yeah. And then we lift the left heel nice and high, bending through the knee, feeling that lifting sensation as we slowly travel ourselves through, stepping that foot between both hands, lowering the back leg, lowering the top of the foot, and finding our lunge position. So that right leg is forward, left leg is back, kneeling lunge position. And in that lift today, just take those hands to a goalpost for just a moment. We may also like interlacing those fingers and drawing them behind, possibly looking up. Bringing the head back to center, keeping those hands wherever they are, curling the back toes under, squeezing the belly, and imagining just gently being lifted up to that high lunge position. Beautiful. Releasing the back foot and opening those arms and bodies to warrior two. Yeah, so warrior two, you'll be facing the side, however that looks for you. The right leg is forward. The left leg is extended back. Right leg is bent, left leg is extended. Yeah, and just take a minute to check your alignment, that your knee falls right over your ankle. Yes. Good adjustment. Inhaling up towards the sky. Exhaling, coming right back down. Inhaling up towards the sky. Exhaling, come back down. Now gently, maybe for today, try closing those eyes and just feeling that lift and movement happen with the body. Maybe it slows us down. Sometimes allowing ourselves to release requires a little less movement and a little more stillness. Coming back into warrior two, right fingertips rotate towards the sky, left fingertips pinwheel to the earth as we find reverse forward. Keeping those traditional arms is a beautiful place to stay, but for a different expression, reaching both those fingertips along the left diagonal. Breathing into those tight places. Releasing that tension. And then shifting to the right diagonal, so that forward space. Preparatory for a side angle, but staying in that diagonal line, which could be a couple inches off of center, could be running that left side body parallel. From here, the hands pull to the heart, and we take our momentum to the back left leg. In fact, we're lifting off of that right heel, and it's just a soft bend. If we rotate that right leg ever so slightly, we bend into the left, feeling almost like a gentle side lunge sensation. From here, the hands stay heart center, and we again rotate the front leg. This time the toes point forward, both knees bend, and we slowly transition ourselves to warrior three, using that right leg as our guide post, squaring through those hips, and lifting ourselves into that warrior three. Great. Yeah. So warrior three could look like the left leg connected on the earth, the hips are square, and we're long to that body. It could be lifting that leg off anywhere, becoming parallel. Lifting through that heart space, lifting away from the foot and feeling the body feel itself upward. We take that crown of the head and teeter-totter ourselves to a standing position, bending the left leg and transitioning into dancer. So left leg bends, right leg is still solid. In that dancer place and space, we're just looking to grab the top of the left foot. We can't reach the top of the left foot. Some of us might be more comfortable grabbing that shin, or even just gently grasping the toes, or we just bend that leg and hold those hands steady. If we do make that connection, draw both of those knees side by side for just a moment, roll and tuck the pelvis, and notice an elongation or a lift coming to the front part of the leg or the quadricep. But this feels like the body is still breathing and enjoying this space. We can progress dancer, which begins with oppositional energy. In dancer, we're trying to straighten the leg as the arm is trying to bring the foot back. And we can play with that extension in a standing position, or for a deeper expression, we hinge from the hips. And that foot is trying to extend itself up towards the sky. The hand is trying to bring itself back in. So there's that push and that pull, that yin and that yang. Oppositional energy is happening. Lots of fire through that left leg. Breathe into it, but there's no sharp pinches, pressure, or pain. And we'll all fall at some point. You're in the comfort of your own home. Good. And then as you're ready, teeter-totter up and find your tree. So that could be connecting at the ankle. I'll turn so you can see me. It could be connecting at the calf, or possibly with that upper inner thigh to the left. Yeah. And again, maybe close the eyes and just feel a lifting sensation coming from within. So often we rely on that sight and what we see and what we know. But can we take that lift, that peace, that sight from within, grounding, but also lifting us? Beautiful. And then just shake it out. Shake, shake, shake. Anything that's right. Beautiful. If you're not already there, come back to the top of your mat. Inhale up towards the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant those hands, step back. Rotate through your chaturanga. So that could be the kneeling plank, lifting up through cobra. It could be dropping halfway, shifting to the upward facing dog. Then coming together into downward facing dog. Staying in that downward facing dog for a few breaths. And noticing how this feels a little different, maybe from that first downward dog that we began with. Beautiful alignment. Feel that space recreating itself between each one of those vertebrae. Beautiful, and with that next breath, inhaling the left leg towards the sky. Squaring to the hip. And then raising the heel of the right foot as high as we can get it. Slowly bending the knee of the left leg towards the chest. And using this transition with intention. Picking that foot between the hands. Noticing that transition as we lower down to that kneeling lunge. Have just as much place and importance as the actual destination that we find. Kneeling lunge. Hands could stay on the thigh. They could come to a goal post, or they may prefer to interlace. Find that lift. Maybe looking up. Centering the head if it's not already there. Curling the right toes under. And then just using that lifting sensation from the heart, the head, the hips. We just extend those legs a little bit. Beautiful. And then open, pinwheel those arms. Warrior two on the other side. So the left leg directly shooting itself forward. That knee is in alignment with the ankle. The right foot is parallel or slightly turned in. We extend those arms. And then breathe in this movement. Inhaling towards the sky. Exhaling back. Inhaling to the sky. Exhaling back down. Maybe closing the eyes. And feeling that rise and release. Both within our lift today. Coming together into warrior two, that stationary place. Rotating the left palm to the sky and finding the reverse warrior as it speaks to your body today. Maybe in those traditional arms of expression, or maybe extending along the right diagonal, opening and lifting sensation, releasing those shoulders away from the ears, keeping that breath fluid and intentional. Breath can be a tool for lift, a tool for comfort, a tool for bringing us back to that place and space, that inner call within each of us. Working along the left diagonal. Again, maybe it's a couple inches off that center place. Maybe it's drawing that right side body in one long parallel line. The hands coming to heart center. We use that rotation of the left toes, rotating from the heel, and slowly rotate that right foot as well. Just gently bending towards that back side, right side. But traveling along the horizon into warrior three, slow and mindful with that transition. Feeling that shift happen. Stacking, squaring those hips, squaring those shoulders. And then teetering to an upright position, the right leg bends, and we prepare for dancer on that other side. So again, this could stay right here and be beautiful. We keep practice extending and bending that leg as it speaks to us. We could bend that leg and make a connection with the foot. Practicing drawing those knees side by side, touching the pelvis, and elongating through that front quadricep. Nice stretch to that front part of the body. Different expression is creating that oppositional energy where the foot pulls away and the hand brings it in, either from a standing place or extending that arm for added balance and teeter-tottering into another version of the expression of this pose. Beautiful. Gently lifting and reversing back up into tree pose. It will be your right leg that's bent, connecting to the earth, connecting at the shin, or connecting above the knee. But taking your connection with intention, feel it on purpose. Create it with purpose. And then close the eyes and feel the lifting sensation from the crown of the head, traveling itself in opposition to that grounding sensation of our foot. And as we all fall, just noticing the thoughts that bring us back. Letting go of those judgments, expectations, or competitions, and just letting it be exactly what it is. Beautiful. And then as you're ready, just shake everything out. Oh, come to the top of your mat if you're not already there. Inhaling to the sky. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step back. In that plank position, knees or toes lower to the earth. Cobra or upward facing dog. Then release back, downward facing dog. Big toes together. Gaze of the palms, soft bend in the knees, and gently lift those feet towards the hands, either a hop or a step. Rotating and coming onto those sit bones. Beautiful. And just shifting so you're facing towards the camera, so you're at the top of the mat, however that is for you. I'll mirror you for this next place. So your left leg will be bending with your knee towards the front, working to square through those hips. This might be where we stay. And we've got that right leg extended. Beautiful place to stay. Deeper expression is taking your right leg up. And we're working that right leg in a deeper expression to come across the left. And again, listen to where that sits for you and just let yourself enjoy that space. Deeper expression is we're working those legs out along the parallel and driving those knees together. So we're coming into what's called cow space pose. And ultimately, we're just looking at having the right leg on top of the left. The knees don't have to connect, and they definitely don't need to reach the floor. But whatever that space and progression is for you, find it here and now today. Not what it was 6 months ago, but what it is today. Where does that feel? Where is that space? With your right leg on top, take your left arm on top. We'll cross one from the other, wrapping elbow to elbow, bringing those palms. And naturally, our hands want to lower in towards our chest, but feel that lifting sensation of drawing those elbows away from the body. And again, we can take back sides of the hands together, or we could wrap palm to palm, either one. And with this, breathing and looking upwards ever so gently, just feeling that lift to the chest and the body. Lengthening through that spine. And then unwrapping those hands and releasing. Your hands will travel to your left side. Plant those hands to the left side and then plant the balls of your feet into the earth. Lift your hips and do a little break dance move. Rotate around the back. Keep walking, keep walking, keep walking all the way around where you sit. Your right leg should be on the bottom. Yes, left leg on the top. Beautiful. So same thing. Right away, we can come into that placement where we have your right leg low and your left knee is nice and high, and that's where we work from today. Different places of progression. Maybe it crosses over and we feel that great space with a good gap between both of those legs. Different layer of progression, those knees coming together across the midline. So those knees are working at the center, and then the legs are working themselves parallel. Lots of different places of progression here. Long in the spine, wherever we choose to let ourselves sit. And then this time the right arm comes on top of the left. Again, back to back with those palms, or possibly wrapping those palms together. But as much as the elbows want to hug the body, we are lifting and releasing. Rising to find that comfort. Rising to a place of trust. Releasing those fingertips, planting them over to your right side. Balls of the feet work together. We lift the hips and just unravel, unwind to that first place. And then adjust yourself, however it works for you, to bring those back onto the mat. Just where we began. So we can roll down one vertebrae at a time. We can rock over on the side body. We get our backs on the mat and just give ourselves an initial hug. Extending those legs up towards the sky for just a moment. Bending those knees in towards the chest. Planting the feet to the outer edges of the mat. Knees falling together. And again, coming to that windshield wiper, just like we began, rotating those knees to the right, rotating the knees to the left, rotating them to the right, and drawing them up and back down to the left. From here, extending those legs to a place of relaxation for you today. So for some of us, it feels most relaxing to have those feet wide and those knees together. And that's where our body feels most relaxed. Others of us will prefer that more traditional Shavasana. Both are beautiful. Find the one that speaks to you and that feels softening and grounding as we enter into our meditation and final relaxation of practice today. Again, just as we began, coming back to that breath, just noticing it. How does the breath feel now? Is it a little more open, a little more relaxed? Or are we just a little more aware of exactly how it is? And in this moment, again, take an inventory, beginning with the top of the head and melting through the rest of the body. And as if it was just soft layers coming across the mind and the body. We're breathing into those tight places. We see them, we feel them, we hear them. And we lift with them. Just as we've brought them along with us up until this point, we recognize the value of those tight, those hard places in our bodies. We honor them. And we trust that those places that are tight and hard have their exact purpose and meaning with us. And just for a moment, as we're stepping into this practice of being still in these final moments, which is sometimes our hardest place to fall, remembering that we're human beings and not human doings. Take a moment to go to that inner call, that inner lift around that heart space. The one that softens with a gentle hug. The one that cheers in our good, the goodness within each of us. And take that soft heart space with you as you visualize stepping into a path of blossoming trees. It's springtime and the blossoms are at their peak. They're beautiful, they're brilliant, they're soft, and they're lifting. And as you notice this path of blossoms that surrounds you, you begin to let yourself dial in with intention into the details. Instead of seeing all of the path and all of the trees, your mind goes to one tree in particular. You notice the colors of that tree, the branches, how they web and flow, beautifully intertwined, yet intentionally separated one from another. You go into even more focus and begin to recognize one specific branch of this tree and its little extensions of the blossoms with it. And as you draw yourself in a little closer, you come to the single most blossom. One blossom on one branch, on one tree in the entire path. And you see the beauty and the detail of this one singular blossom. It has colors you didn't notice from the path. It is abundant with its shape, which looks, as you take more close awareness, slightly different from the blossoms that surround it. And as much as we think about this one blossom and this small impact it has on this amazing path, whether this blossom were to stay there or leave, would it make a difference? As much as your head tries to rationalize that blossom being there has little or no impact on the world it encompasses, your heart calls differently. And your heart connects that just as this one tiny blossom works with this branch, creates the exact balance that branch needs, you step back and again notice how that blossom intertwines with all the other blossoms to make that tree exactly how it is. And the beauty of that tree exists because of those individual, small and simple blossoms. Rising, lifting, and releasing exactly as they're called to do. And as you step back onto this path again, seeing all of those trees, your heart space is softened with the good kind of love and overwhelm, joy, where you see every single blossom playing its part that creates this magnificent beauty within your path. And in that moment, your mind connects that you are the blossom. Your unique contribution, your unique gift of serving in that heart space is yourself, is what the world needs and calls for you today. No matter how small, no matter how simple, your purpose in this place is beautiful, organically growing and changing, and beautifully intertwined to connect and lift all those other blossoms that surround you. As you're ready, start wiggling those fingers and toes. Coming over to a side lying position. Stacking those shoulders over the hips, stacking the heads over the shoulders. And we'll finish our practice today with that grounding breath and stay. So we're sitting with those knees just relaxed, your hands towards the sky, breathing. Closing the eyes and just taking 2 breaths of intention, inhaling through the nose and exhaling all that goodness and exhaling. The light within me honors the light within each of you and the amazing blossoms that you are. Namaste.
Hey, so I wanted to share the inspiration behind lift, the theme of today's practice. And it's grounded in the scriptures, actually, in Mosiah. Chapter 7, verses 18 and 19 just have a few phrases that, or the intention behind the word lift. They're lift up your heads and be comforted, lift up your heads and rejoice, and put your trust in God. So I love how lift is connecting with comfort, rejoice, and trust. And I dug a little deeper and looked up some definitions of lift. To lighten, and it also means to release, which really just spoke beautifully. And there's a quote that I loved from Stephen Covey that says, "Be patient with yourself. Self-growth is tender. It's holy ground. There's no greater investment." And this blossom meditation and visualization that we walked through is a beautiful connection of the individual lifting that we all take and that individual inward journey. And every blossom matters, and God is mindful of each and every blossom. And just as He has created each one of those blossoms, we too are co-creators with Him. And just as each individual blossom on the tree is so unique and grows with intention and purpose, so do we in our path, and our paths have unique purpose to them. And God is mindful of us in all times and seasons. And that takes that lifting journey, that raising, that release inward, which that journey inward is probably the longest journey that we speak, hear, feel, see, and know. So I leave that with you and hope your day is wonderful. Namaste.